The following may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Khadijah Flamen relatives in custody. Two relatives of Khadijah Flamen are said to be aiding police in their inquiries into the missing mother. The two were brought in for questioning on Monday and have been aiding investigators since. A woman who police suspect may have key intelligence in Flamen's location remains under the care of the St. Anne's Hospital, where she was sent for psychiatric evaluation. Flamen went missing just over 3 weeks ago, having last communicated with relatives on June 8th. A week later, police received information that she may have been killed and a close friend was detained for questioning. The home of Flamen's friend was searched, as well as several areas in the San Fernando and Tarodale areas. However, Khadijah Flamen has yet to be found. On June 17, during one of those searches, charred remains of a human being were found at a dump site near agricultural lands in Reform Road, Gasparillo. Police have started the process through DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid testing, in attempting to identify the bones. Flamen's mother has since given samples to test against the find. Superintendent Sean Dilpole is leading officers of Homicide Region 3 in the investigation. Pastor on bail for assault of minor. A pastor has appeared in court on a charge of sexually touching a minor at a church more than a year ago. Russell Andrews, 59, of Princestown, was granted $100,000 approval bail with a cash bail alternative of $25,000 during a virtual court appearance before Princestown Magistrate Indira Misir Gosin. At the time of the alleged incident, the victim was 11 years old. The charge alleged that on December 31, 2019, at 6th Company Ambassadors of Christ Church in New Grant, he sexually touched the girl. A report was made on February 2020, and following investigations, he was charged by WPC April Hull of the Child Protection Unit on Tuesday. The court heard that the pastor was asked by the child's grandmother to speak to her about her behavior, but the girl alleged that the pastor touched her private parts. Prosecutor Sergeant Shazid Mohammed did not object to bail as he had no previous convictions or pending matters. However, he cited the seriousness and prevalence of the offense and asked for bail conditions. The pastor was ordered to stay 300 meters away from the victim. The matter was adjourned to July 28. Kidnapped teen rescued. Detectives believe they have foiled the kidnapping of a 15-year-old girl who they reportedly found at an unoccupied house in Talparo on Tuesday. A 30-year-old man of San Fernando and a 33-year-old man of Arima, who were detained during the rescue operation, has since been assisting police with their investigations. The girl, who is from Mayaro, is currently in the care of officers attached to the Child Protection Unit CPU. According to reports, at about 2 p.m. on June 29, information was sent to Commissioner of Police Gary Griffith about a possible kidnapping involving 3 suspects and a girl. The commissioner passed on the information to Northern Division Commander. An exercise which involved officers of the Northern Division Intelligence Team was initiated and resulted in the girl being found at an unoccupied building along Talparo Main Road, Talparo. Police later detained 2 men in connection with the report. They are currently being interrogated by officers at the Maloney and Arima police stations respectively. Griffith has since sent out a thank you to the person who sent the information to him. He is also asking members of the public, if you see something, say something, and WhatsApp him at 482-GARY. CF Industries Holdings Incorporated files petition against TNT. CF Industries Holdings Incorporated, through certain of its production facilities, has filed petitions with the U.S. Department of Commerce and the U.S. International Trade Commission, ITC, requesting the initiation of anti-dumping and countervailing duty investigations on imports of urea ammonium nitrate solutions, UAN, from Russia and Trinidad and Tobago. CF Industries, which is the largest producer of UAN in the United States, requested the investigations due to the harm the domestic UAN industry has experienced from dumping on unfairly subsidized UAN imports from Russia and Trinidad. CF Industries filed its petitions under United States anti-dumping and countervailing duty laws, which authorize commerce to level the playing field for domestic industries injured by foreign imports that are dumped and unfairly subsidized. If Commerce and the ITC make affirmative determinations, then Commerce can impose duties equal to the level of dumping and unfair subsidies. For too long, UAN producers in the United States, who are among the most efficient in the world, have competed on an uneven playing field due to dumped and unfairly subsidized imports from Russia and Trinidad, said Tony Will, President and Chief Executive Officer, CF Industries Holdings Incorporated. The duties we are seeking will restore fairness to our highly competitive industry and help ensure that American UAN producers remain a reliable source of fertilizers for American farmers for years to come. In the coming weeks, the U.S. Department of Commerce will decide whether to initiate investigations to determine the extent of dumping and unfair subsidies associated with imports from Russia and Trinidad and Tobago, and the U.S. International Trade Commission will initiate a concurrent investigation to determine whether such imports materially injure the U.S. industry. CF Industries intends to participate actively in proceedings before both agencies. Opposition leader rips up Tobago Bill during press conference. The opposition stayed away from the parliament yesterday as the debate on the Tobago Island Government Bill 2021 continued. In a press conference as the debate was underway, opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar said the bill offers nothing to the people of Tobago and will not receive the support of the opposition. On Tuesday, Persad-Bissessar and the other opposition members of parliament walked out of the parliament, citing breaches of the standing orders of the House of Representatives. Yesterday, she held a press conference accusing the government of trying to strengthen its chokehold on Tobago. Their view is that their policy must prevail over the people and over the will of Tobago. Tobago is saying it is not the will of Tobago. This was never meant to be internal self-governance. It was meant to cement the PNM to impose the will of PNM on Tobago. Those bills, Persad-Bissessar said. She said Tobagonians deserve true self-governance, but the bill proposes that only in name. The only self-governance that those bills offered was in name, but in context, it really subjected Tobago to even more regulations to be decided in Port of Spain, to be decided by the cabinet, the PNM cabinet, not in Tobago, not in Scarborough. The opposition has called on the government to hold more consultations before the bill is passed into law. Persad-Bissessar said yesterday the bill in its current form has not been seen by Tobagonians. They gutted it from a 20-clause bill, reduced it to how many clauses? They deleted clause 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 15, 16, 17, and 18. They've deleted the preamble to the bill. They've deleted the certificate that would have been included, saying this got the requisite majority. That has been deleted. It reminds us of the procurement legislation, how they gutted that out, she said. Labeling the legislation totally wasteless, Prasad Bisasar tore up a copy of it, saying it contained nothing for the people of Tobago. She said by removing these clauses, the government gave themselves room to pass the bill without a special majority. She said while the government may think this amounts to spiting the UNC, it was the people of Tobago who were being spited. Prasad Bisasar said Tobagonians have the opposition's support in their quest for self-governance. The opposition leader also said the opposition bench intends to file a motion of no confidence in House Speaker Mvrd3r George. She said the opposition has been discussing doing so for some time, but Anisette George's decision to allow Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley to cite a standing order and close the debate on the Tobago Bill was unbearable. We have been keeping notes on many times when we believe there were breaches of the standing orders in terms of the ruling of the Speaker. This one will be the latest in a series of those. She said although the government will defeat the motion with their majority, filing it allows the opposition to make issues in the Parliament public. Because many times people don't understand what is happening there. I know there are some of our supporters and others who say, why the opposition so quiet? Why don't they do something? It is because we are constrained and constricted by these standing orders, Prasad Bisasar said. The opposition leader also sought to explain why her party did not offer any candidates for the 2020 general election in Tobago. They say we don't fight in Tobago, but I have a reason for that. We respect the people of Tobago and their right to self-governance. Why would I take a UNC candidate, a party grounded in Trinidad, to put a candidate in Tobago? Why? When the people of Tobago are totally competent to govern their own affairs, politically and otherwise. Prasad Bisasar also accused the government of trying to make Tobago a colony of Trinidad. As I said before, you have a premier. They are going back to colonial days. So King Rowley now wants to make provisions for Tobago, together with his courtiers, as they call them. What they are doing here is everywhere you see the word Chief Secretary, delete and you will now see the word Premier. So we will now have a Premier in Tobago. Everywhere you see Deputy Chief Secretary, delete it and replace it with Deputy Premier, Prasad Bisasar said. What's your verdict? Do you think Kamla Prasad Bisasar's action of ripping up the Tobago Bill was out of control and disrespectful? Or do you believe she is genuinely passionate about fighting for the democracy of Tobagonians? Opposition leader unfit for her position, says Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has labelled opposition leader Kamla Prasad Bisasar unfit for her position after she led a walkout of the parliament on Tuesday and signalled her intention to file a motion of no confidence against Speaker of the House of Representatives Mvrd3r George. Dr. Rowley held a conference at 1 p.m. to respond to Prasad Bisasar, who held a press briefing hours earlier, having boycotted yesterday's sitting of the Parliament. The leader of the United National Congress UNC claimed the government gutted proposed legislation on Tobago self-governance and, in expressing her outrage, reiterated calls for consultation on the matter and symbolically tore up the paper. Moreover, she accused the government of failing to lay the Tobago Island Government Bill 2021. However, the laying of that bill was done today, while the Tobago Self-Government Bill 2020 was debated over the last 2 days. The government previously signalled its intention to do such. In his criticism of Prasad Bisasar's walkout, Dr. Rowley said the UNC head has been absent from the House on numerous occasions and took issue with her justification that this was in keeping with the current COVID-19 regulated stipulations. He said, while the new parliamentary rules have reduced the number of members allowed in chambers at once, it provides for those who are speaking or considered important by their respective leaders to be there. Additionally, Dr. Rowley said if Prasad Bisasar does not want to lead, she shouldn't. The opposition leader is to be called upon by the national community to do her job or give it to somebody else who is prepared to do it. Furthermore, he admitted that the government needs the assistance of the opposition to pass the proposed legislation. Or 22 seats cannot do it. It would require at least 9 more seats from other people in the parliament. Those seats are under the control of a delinquent opposition leader, as I'm seeing now. As for the impending motion against the Speaker of the House over the extension of Dr. Rowley's speaking time, he said, "The Speaker didn't make that decision. We don't need the permission of the opposition to put a motion to the House," he said. "The Parliament functioned properly. We indicated what we were going to do. We indicated 2 days of debate, and we did have 2 days of debate," he continued. He further defended the extension of his speaking time after the government majority carried the motion. This as he denied hijacking the debate. "I plead not guilty. I hijacked no debate," he responded to the criticism. Parliament will go on recess next week and will return in September. Dr. Rowley said the Tobago bills are currently in the committee stage and will die once Parliament dissolves at the end of the year. Those bills can die when the Parliament dissolves at the end of the year, or we can ask that they be extended into the next term, waiting for a day when there is enough parliamentarians in the Parliament who want to give Tobago what the bill contains, he said. The Prime Minister noted that the bills, among other things, address serious matters related to Tobago and seek to answer the following questions. Should Tobago have an island government? Should Tobago's island government have lawmaking powers? Should Tobago, as an executive body, be allowed to borrow on its credit worthiness? Should Tobago get 6.8% of the budget? Dr. Rowley also said that the government did not gut or delete any section of the bills, deeming Prasad Bisasar's comments misinformation. He said, contrary to her claims, the brand new bill does not include amendments without consultations. Meanwhile, Dr. Rowley said for the first time after a debate in Parliament and after 7 years of consultation on internal self-government, the country has written a document reform in legal position as to what self-government for Tobago could be. It has been signed by PNM representatives and independents at the Joint Select Committee stage, but not the opposition. However, without being passed in the House of Representatives, the bill will not move to the Senate to receive the nod from independents. What's your verdict? Do you agree with the Prime Minister's statement about the opposition leader? Or do you believe they are too focused on trading insults and should be more civil in their governance?